Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be making Milk Street's brown butter banana bread, but instead of using cardamom like the recipe calls for, I'm going to be using cinnamon with a touch of cardamom. So here we have to start 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and half a teaspoon of salt. So mix that all together. Then here I have, I have 149 grams of dark brown sugar, and then I have about 2 cups of bananas, which I already mashed. So we're gonna set this aside right now, and I'm gonna go over here and we're gonna start to brown some butter. Once the butter is browned, then we're gonna add our spices, our cardamom and cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla extract, and some eggs. So let's head over to the stove so that we can get started with the brown butter. So now let's brown the butter. Over medium heat, this will take at least, probably 3 minutes to brown. So now I can tell the butter is starting to brown because I'm starting to get these little brown specks at the bottom. So you want to be really careful when it gets to this point because it can brown really quickly. So I'm actually going to control the heat by turning it down and even removing it a little bit. And you should you can smell it start to kind of get more brown and rich and buttery. So use your eyes and your nose when making brown butter, and make sure you're constantly mixing or else it will burn. Okay, now you can really start to see the brown sediments in the bottom, and you see that brown, that really rich dark color. That's exactly what we're looking for. So now that it's ready, let's go back and whisk in the cinnamon and the cardamom. The recipe calls for 1.5 teaspoons of cardamom, but I'm actually gonna use only a quarter of a teaspoon of cardamom, and I am going to then use a generous teaspoon of cinnamon, and you whisk that all together. And it really just smells so nice and warm. Okay, and now we have to add our brown sugar, actually our bananas. Carefully add this because this can kind of sizzle up, so just be a little careful. You can see it start to bubble. Okay. Now we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of our dark brown sugar. And we'll just add that right into the bowl and then mix this up really well. All right, and to this we're going to add 2 eggs. This recipe doesn't call for room temperature eggs, but what I went ahead and did is I tried to temper the eggs just a little bit by adding some of this hot batter, which I let cool down for a little bit, to the eggs so that they don't scramble. So mix this up really well. And then we are going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And we're just gonna make sure that this is mixed up really well before we incorporate it into our dry ingredients. Ready? Okay, so now we're gonna add our banana mixture to our dry ingredients. And I'm gonna switch over to a spatula to really just fold these ingredients together. Trying to get out all of the nice little brown bits at the bottom here. Okay. And then we're we're just gonna gently incorporate this so that we don't see any flour mixture just until it's incorporated. We don't want to overmix it at this point. All right, so now we have our buttered banana bread pan, and we're just gonna add the mixture to the bread pan, which has been buttered so that it doesn't stick. All right, now what I'm gonna do, and I don't know that the recipe calls for this, but I always like to tap it just a little bit to get out the air bubbles. And this last step is completely optional. I'm adding a tablespoon of granulated sugar just so that we can get that nice crispy top. And you'll notice that this recipe has both, it has two leaveners, baking powder and baking soda, excuse me. And the reason being is because the powder makes it rise, but the soda actually makes it more brown and really kind of crispy in addition to the sugar on top. So that now that this is ready, we're gonna put it in for about an hour to our 350 preheated oven. All right, that's it. Okay, so now after 50 minutes of cooking, and you always want to check it, give or take, an hour, because your ovens might be warmer than mine, but I tested it with a skewer and now it's all done. Okay, and so now I'm just gonna take a knife and go around the edges so that it doesn't stick to the pan when it expands and cools. And I hope you enjoy this bread as much as we do.